Hey everyone, this is DayTraderRockStar, and this is a market update and a pre-HPS watch list. Doing this on Friday, midday around 12 o'clock. Want to try to get out some notes early on some things I'm looking at. Market here pushing to all-time highs. If we take a look at the S&P cash chart, you can see us just kind of really extended out of this recent flag. The market has continued to show us these flags, and we continue to trade off of these. And we'll continue to do this until until the market either breaks down, shows us more of a corrective form taking place. But right now, again, very strong. There's a trend line up above us. That's a really big extension up here, and it's hard to project if we're even going to get up there as a target. We're overbought on the daily, and we're overbought on the 60. So right now, we're just kind of riding momentum. And the most important thing here is try not to call a top in the market and try to throw those shorts in here, guessing what the top is going to be. The important factors next week, we have an ECB meeting and possible rate decision coming out of the ECB. And that's going to be on Thursday. And the market here seems to be, well, I would say is discounting this and they're actually pricing this in. And this could be a catalyst for a sell-off, even though you might think of a rate cut and some stimulus that might come out of the European or the ECB conference if they announce a stimulus program. This might seem to be a bullish announcement, but this might also be a great opportunity to sell into that strength and actually see that market here top out on that. The day after we have the jobs report, and that's another big event. So going into next week, I'm going to say we have to be very cautious on this market using an event to top us out short term. Even before that, today, Friday, here we're right up against the highs. You feel the underlying strength, but this could give back. It's a Friday trade, so at the end of the day, we could see some selling. But more importantly, this is what makes money in this market, is identifying a great trade before it happens. And that's what's the point of this video right now. There's so many great trades that we've taken the last 2 weeks, and I just have to go back and show you what I've been finding in the markets and why these stocks play out. I mean, it's great to have the market behind you, and that's one of the important things that you need to have, is to have what I call the wind in your sail. You could even consider this a little head and shoulders pattern that broke to the upside, a very bullish pattern. So let's just talk about some of the stocks. These are kind of the best, the greatest trades of May, because May is ending today, and these are a lot of the trades we took on May. And you'll see, a lot of them were lane divergence setups. A lot of them were just channel pullbacks and quality names, and but that's not going to be seen this week. The problem is, with a week like this, we're ending the week on a very high note. A lot of these stocks are really extended. So you're at a point now where you have to decide, do we start looking at the shorts, or do we continue to wait for our setups to play out? It's a game of patience. It's a game of really picking your spots in this market. Not every day you're going to have an opportunity to get great setups, and sometimes that patience alone to let things kind of reset, pull back, is going to give you those opportunities. So with that said, let's take a look at some of the great trades of May. Now remember, these are the patterns, the buy zones, the profit zones, the stops, and the notes that go with this are on the video. But I want to actually show you the charts and kind of go over what I'm continue to look for. And a lot of these, we'll look at them a little bit closer. But let's just break this down right now. This is Interactive Corp. This was one of the best bets for this week, and we got right into it, and you can see it actually just moved right up out of this pattern. And this was a really nice divergence also. You can see that stochastics didn't really pull back all the way. We started crossing back over, and the price actually came right back down to the lows. And it just looked like a great setup. There was an underlying trend line which gave us enough room. We knew that we're in a buy zone right here. And from that point on, we just moved up. And it actually took our profits like the first day. It had such a big bounce on it. It continues to move up, and lots of times these setups are great swing trades. The setups are these are kind of continuation patterns. This is still looks good on the overall charts and on the time frames. Now, just looking back at it, even though we completed this trade, what was Key on this is we're looking for that recognizable pattern. We had the lane divergence where we had the momentum shift. Remember, the lane divergence is really showing that the momentum on the stochastics has shifted before the price. The price actually made a double bottom, pulled back down to the recent lows, but the stochastics didn't make that trip back down to the recent lows. We kind of turned back up, and once you could kind of gauge that happening, you're able to get in, and once you get that crossover, that really confirms it, and you can actually see the resulting trade from that. Now that the trade is extended on this, we just have to wait for that next setup, and that's where it comes into, understanding that patience. It's great to be able to see a move from here to here. This is a nice move. How do we pinpoint it's going to move? Well, these are the reasons. We have the recognizable pattern. We understand how patterns work. The big thing is that lane divergence, seeing the momentum shift, and the quality name right now. So 3 really good indicators, makes it a pure HPS setup, and the move back up from there. Next one up was Under Armour. Another great setup. Again, another classic lane divergence. You made the lows, you made the higher low on the stochastics. You had that recognizable pattern, holding the right on the 200 period moving average. It also came in with a couple good candles. That's also very important. So we're always looking for the combination of things to line up. The candlestick is super important. I've been working on some scans with the candles, and I think in this market environment, to be able to add as many things to the formula as possible is going to work out great. So we're going to always continue to watch for those candles, and that's a big plus on this. And you can see the move from this level. Now take a look at the alert that went out on this, and it's just a kind of an obvious. It came right down to our entry zone, popped that back up, came back down to it. We ended up taking that trade, and then it pushed right back up. And that was just because of the divergence playing out that we continue to look for that. And right now, can't really justify getting into it on the long side because we're extended. Is it a short setup? Well, very possible. But we want to have that same criteria playing out on the short side. Do we have the overbought levels? Yes, we do. Do we have a recognizable pattern? No, we don't. We don't have like an underlying trend line or overhead and trend. We do have a little resistance area here, but we haven't gotten back up to that. So right now we're just waiting for the next setup on this. Under Armour is a good stock to always follow. So if it does rotate back down, I call that a channel breakout stochastic rotation. That's an HPS setup. So these will continue to be on the watch list and continue to get sent to you if they set up on any other patterns. But right now, again, consider that trade closed out and a good trade. This is another one that I just love to take when I see it. The underlying trend line, the third test of a good established pivot area. Here's a pivot area pullback, another pivot area pullback, and the pivot area is really an area in the chart where you see it, a clear-cut change of direction. Here you had one, here you had one, and you just had to follow that. You knew the price was getting down there, so we ended up taking that trade, and you could see, boom, how it worked off of that. So it's just a matter of playing, having the patience, waiting for the setups to come to you, and taking the high probability setups. These are not risky trades. We were oversold on the daily stochastics. Everything lined up for us. We had that underlying trend line. We had a quality name, and we had and we also had that 200 period moving average that we were traded under, which is also an important thing for me, especially when you're trading on the daily time frame. So great setup there. So you're seeing, the purpose of this video right now is just to kind of show you that if you have patience and you're disciplined on your entries and you follow great stocks, you just wait for those to pull back to your zones. Your trading is going to be so much more successful versus being disorganized, jumping into the market randomly in the 9:30 to 10:30 chop and crapola trade, which will flush you out half the time. So yeah, sure, you could get the bigger moves, but this is more towards people who like to get in, find a good area, scale in or take your position. Let it play out, and you'll get a nice return over the next couple of days. All right. Well, again, Discovery and Discovery Communication, the Discovery Channel, clear-cut 1-2-3 pattern. Now, 1-2-3 patterns, 3 organized pivots. The 2 here, you draw that trend line. That third one which is a clear-cut break of the overall trend, you draw a parallel line. The price comes down to that parallel line. You have that channel playing out. You just want to make sure everything else is lining up at the same time. So you want to see actually that pretty much it's oversold stochastic getting back down there. So this is exactly how this one played out. We came right down into our buy zone. The alert went out, picked it up, and it pushed right back up and trade over, basically. Trade over, and a great trade. So now we have to wait for it to set up. Now I would take this trade all the time off this lower trend line. And it's not going to always hit it exactly, but you understand that that's why you want to start to give yourself a little room, maybe a scale-in process if you feel like you want to grab, the human mind is, that's our biggest enemy right there, because you might be waiting for this trend line to play out and say, oh, I need to get this exactly, and what'll happen is it'll come down, it'll be a penny away from it, it'll be 10 cents away from it, 30 cents away from it, and then moves up $2. And you're thinking, wow, how could you do that? So when you do see the alerts sent out, I send them out so it kind of alerts you to the price coming down to that area. When you get that alert via your email, phone, whatever you sign up for, and then basically you will get to identify the level you want to get in. I ended up, forget where we took this, but we ended up taking it, and then again, boom, off to the races. A nice fast trade, and now I'm just going to wait for that pullback. Now we can start to concentrate on the 60-minute time frame again on this one. If I move back over here, look at the daily setup there, and then go back down to the 60, you can see the 60 is pulled back. It's flatlined right now, which is kind of a little sign of weakness. There's an underlying trend line back here, and I'd probably focus a little bit more on this if we ended up coming down there. But the multiple indicators kind of gives you a good, nice rules, so you don't have to rush into a trade just because it gets oversold on the 60. Doesn't mean that it's going to pop. It's great to have that underlying combination of things playing out. Well, here you go again. CBS, we broke it down to the 60-minute chart. The alert went out, and this is something that's very important. When you're out there looking at people's charts and stuff, a lot of people will chart out the thing and give you a pattern and show you the exact, where it went to, and draw everything after the fact. This is the important part right here, is being alerted to it before the fact, before the trade takes place. So we give you a great buy zone down here, and guess what happens? Comes right down into our buy zone, and they'll take that trade, and it pushes right back up, and off to the races it goes. Again, we know, learning about how a pattern works out, how a channel works out, how the time frames interact with each other. How does a 60-minute time frame relate to that daily time frame? There's so many great little tidbits of information that you could just continue to learn. And hopefully I get to share that with you. The daily 60 is important. If we looked at the CBS, and what really got us in there was this beautiful divergence. You had this low here and this recent low candlestick low and the higher low on the stochastics. That has been key for this month, and basically the last 2 weeks we've been trading this divergence play over and over again. Very comfortable with it, very confident. You could see the results from it. And these are stocks that have been pulling back, So how do we get into these and we see these moves? This is a big move that we had in the last 2 weeks, and these are the stocks we're concentrated on. It's because of this pattern right here, the lane divergence. All right. So there's still a lot of those setting up. They're on the watch list. A lot of these stocks haven't even triggered yet. I'm going to do something because I'm putting on a new watch list today. I'm going to actually show you. Just kind of show you. Let's bring this over here. This is the page here on the HPS site, and basically you can see that we're still, certain stocks here are still under, haven't hit their haven't hit their buy zones or sell zones. If they do hit their buy zones, you'll get that green. So some of these are very active right now, and the ones who hit the yellow gold hit the targets. The ones that hit the red has stopped out, and all these alerts get funneled to you. So these are all going to leave. The ones with the gold, the one with the red, and then we'll replace these with all the new setups that are setting up for this week. And I just want to kind of get to that point of the video now where it's important to know that the market here trading at the highs, going into a big week next week. It's important not to let kind of be blind, not run with this market with blinders on. And to understand there's some big events next week. And my call on this is that one of these events could put a short-term top in the market. If anything, I would expect the ECB, any type of rate cut or some kind of stimulus program to actually be traded upon to the downside. All right, and so that's going to come out on Thursday. So we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to deal with, and we might see some selling before that. We might not. We'll see.